Into Champ Select. We'll see how Condi and friends do today. Xiaogu Reapers over on the left-hand side. Team World Elite going to be on the right for game number 1. Alistar and Rise banned pretty quickly away by these two teams.
And rightly so, of course. Alistar hasn't seen a lot of bans for the first 2 or 3 days, but it's very much noticed as a trend now. Picked and banned in every single game so far.
And there's Graves, banned away by QG as well. So pretty popular jungler. Not going to be present in this game. As World Elite now consider their next pick. Got about 12 seconds or so to decide. We've seen lots of different draft strategies, actually. Drafting's been really interesting from ban 1 to last pick here. As Tahm does get taken away.
Definitely has been. I think the biggest trend that I'm surprised isn't happening is everyone bans away from Swift. They don't want him to have a lot of his champions. And Swift actually banning away from Condi is the weirdest change to see so far.
Condi definitely a competent Lee Sin player, but it's an interesting ban, certainly. QG going straight for Condi there with that particular ban. So I wonder what Swift has in mind here. As of course a very strong Rek'Sai player, but can play just about anything, as Nidalee was the product of a few highlight clips last year.
I mean, I'd ban Lissandra here, to be honest with you. It's just, but there's no Alistar on the board. It's the other optional first pick that you would go for, and it's just so powerful.
Well, it's LeBlanc actually banned away from Doinby. We have seen him play only LeBlanc so far, but Doinby definitely has a much bigger champion pool than that. You can see Doinby there. Yeah, that is Doinby, sorry. Thought it was more for a second. Got trolled. Kind of saying, hey, they banned my LeBlanc. Probably not a big problem. Do you guys want Nautilus again? His team probably saying, no, not right now.
What about Maokai? I can play Maokai mid, guys.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see Lissandra, of course, be the first pick here. 35 seconds on the clock here for QG as V's looking to pick up a champion.
Yeah, so if they want to go for the Lissandra, it'd be a very smart decision for them to do so. There's always the Rek'Sai, something that is a point of contention between both of these junglers.
Yep.
They do have a Rek'Sai played in their last games. And there's also the fact that bottom lane, Moore could just go for the Thresh if need be. It seems to be the other very good first rotation option.
Yep, seen plenty of picks here, but you have to be careful with these blue side picks. You only get one, but you do get the first one, so got to make it count here. Rek'Sai, like you mentioned, would be a perfectly fine pick here. Swift is a very, very good Rek'Sai, and he is going to take it away. So get it for himself and also deny it from Condi. 3 for 3 so far on the Jungle Champions for Xiaogu.
Yeah, absolutely right. A lot of focus towards Condi. The question then has to be arisen of, is his champion pool extensive enough to deal with all of these things being picked away from him? What does he have in store that can actually deal with it? And we forgot one champion.
Lulu. Hi.
Why?
I mean, that's the other Lissandra, right?
Yeah.
Sort of talking about it yesterday. 2 very flexible champions, can go in different roles, lots of utility. I mean, they could take both here if they really wanted to, but certainly Lulu being left up does leave over the possibility. We'll see what World Elite want to do, but this would be perfectly good picks.
Yeah, that's a great first draft. And, I mean, the thing with that is, though they're considered flex picks, it's very obviously defined as to what they're going to be, right? You can pick your lanes against them knowing they're the same thing.
Yep. And let's go for World Elite. They're like, we'll pick the slightly better matchup where we can. You can even move one into support if you wanted to. There are still plenty of picks open that might give up the Lissandra. They are, in fact, as Trundle and Lulu are going to be the pickups here for World Elite.
And a lot of other champions, we have to say, have been left completely available because of these targeted bans. So a unique strategy put in place here. And yes, that champion being hovered should definitely be selected.
That's right, the Pirates are open. I forgot about that. Both MF and Gangplank have seen a lot of attention, mostly on the bench in a lot of games this week. It could be. We'll see what Xiaogu do want to go with. 30 seconds now to draft this few picks. But this is the thing that I love about draft right now, is that there's lots of good picks, but you still have to build a team comp by the end of your picks, right? So you need to make sure you pick them carefully.
I mean, they've played Misfortune once already, Pico, from Xiaogu, and they just basically put the Braum with it. That's their denial tool. And now that they've seen the Trundle selected, I think they feel much more free to hover this champion and potentially lock it in, because there's not going to be the Braum to deny it, or they just pick the bottom lane that they want.
Yeah, I mean, why really show too much here? Xiaogu going to save his soul lands. That's Braum. That's Misfortune. A revisit to the bottom lane here for Xiaogu.
And it feels like it must be the comfort matchup here for Xiaogu, picking the Braum with Misfortune opposed to... I think it's less of a denial because the Trundle's there, but of course Trundle can still flex. And I guess Xiaogu's saying better safe than sorry in that regard.
Just get more info.
Exactly right.
And that's the big thing. You look at these picks, just so much flexibility in the top half of the draft. So World Elite now going to have to show a little bit more. Again, we've seen red side drafting be pretty good. There's 30 seconds remaining here. They've got Kindred and Callista as their current hovers. 2 perfectly good champions, but see exactly what Condi wants to do. He knows his jungle matchup. He's going to be Rek'Sai here against Swift, unless some real massive shenanigans are on the way.
And Kindred's still a very good champion to consider. They've banned away, I would say, the strongest champions from Condi, but at all times, they're still going to have a lot of good options available for them. Well, they could just not reveal it yet.
Well, 5 seconds left. Might not have to. I mean, the lanes are so flexible they don't really have to leave a counter pick. They can leave a counter pick open anyway. There's Kalista.
Such a good draft.
And looks like Lissandra's going to be locked in as well. Yeah, this is roadside drafting on this patch at its finest.
That's amazing. The fact that they can get all of these champions. The Kalista isn't an overbearing powerhouse anymore, like we used to see from Kalista being picked really early in the rotation. Instead, they've gone for Lissandra and Lulu, who have wave clear. They can swap lanes freely if one's going poorly. They've got a Trundle, who you would have to say is supporting now. There's the option of jungling, but it's not ideal. And at the moment, there's still a Mundo available.
That's true. They actually don't have a jungler, which is kind of weird. But yeah, we'll see what Elite want to do with their draft. This last pick's going to be fun, no matter what happens, I think. Xiaogu are making sure they lock in these last few picks. They have a decent idea what to expect in these solo lanes. And of course, they picked a pretty comfortable bottom lane for themselves. So probably not too worried about what's happening. Doinby might just go straight back to a comfort pick here as well. 10 seconds left for Xiaogu Reapers.
Yeah, the mid lane is always looking for wave clear at the moment, and Doinby is perfectly suited towards his Victor. The gangplank's still an option.
Yep.
V does, I guess he can play that in the top lane, and they need to pick something.
They do. I want to know what he wants. Okay, whoa! Nautilus having another go here. Nautilus Victor, the last picks here for QG.
Interesting stuff, and we have already seen a Nautilus be played in the LPL from...
We did see it yesterday. Koro played it at top lane.
That's going to be questionable, I will say. The assumption that it's going to be an AP top laner does help with your itemization as the Nautilus, but again, I don't see the merit in the champion being picked away, because it's not being picked away.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be, you know, a big counter to Kalista, especially as support, because you could lock her down, but I feel like unlike the old Kalista comps, there's like 2 or 3 threats or more in these comps nowadays versus the 1 or 2 that you'd normally see. So all that lockdown CC, and Nautilus does have a lot of it, just doesn't feel quite as effective as it was when Nautilus was super in vogue.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah. And there's Kindred, last pick for World Elite. Add another threat.
Yeah, it's a lot of threats on this World Elite side. That's a dangerous composition if it gets ahead at all. And when it's behind, it still feels like it's got its strengths and very good at making picks. A lot of wave clear. The team fighting in terms of having a tank is a little bit lackluster. It's going to come down to how they actually engage, because if QG Reapers engage first, they're so tanky.
I feel like we've said this a lot about especially Graves or Kindred-based comps where we've seen coming out of the jungle. We use the phrase execution heavy a lot to describe them. I would say that's probably true here of World Elite's comp, but we'll run by them once more. Nautilus, Rek'Sai, Victor, MF, and Braum for QG, and WE with Lissandra, Kindred, Lulu, Kalista, and Trundle for Zero. Big troll.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like Xiaogu, they're comfortable with the matchups that they've got at the moment. They've picked them into World Elite, but World Elite's team comp is just so good that it's very difficult to beat on paper. I do think, though, that deep down World Elite have just picked the champions because they're strong.
Yep.
And I'm worried that that is the only reason they've picked the champions.
Yep. And we can see QG have definitely put emphasis on Swift's jungle pick once again. So if he can start going off and run over the early game, big strong comp from World Elite, it's going to fall down pretty quickly.
Yeah. And of course, Xiaogu on comfort picks is the biggest thing to take away from this. And really, if there is a team composition that can beat World Elites, it's the comfort comp that they've got.
Certainly is. Well, you can see the team comps there. The teams are lining up. Let's get ourselves onto the Rift for game number 1. And here we are for our first game of the final day of week 1 of the LPL. Xiaogu taking on World Elite. Game 1 of our best of 3. Good drafts from both teams. World Elite, you might think Rusty got the better of it, but still a lot to play for here in the early stages of this game especially.
Yeah, World Elite, they got the better of the draft for what is considered meta. they definitely got all of the strong power picks that is very relevant to the current meta. They've got the wave clear, they've got early pressure, and they've got mid-game item spikes where they can rotate around the map. So in a comfortable position here, World Elite. In saying that, QG just love every single champion that they're on at the moment.
They certainly do. They play to the beat of their own drum, most certainly, and they got a comfort comp here for them to start things off. Quick to note that double TP for World Elite as well to add to the things that this already very versatile comp can do. And you can see QG just getting a couple wards in near that Gromp blue buff intersection, and Mystic is actually in the top lane already as Kalista, so a lane swap early on here for WE.
And it's funny, last time I saw a teleport on a Lulu mid lane, it was against Faker, and that was the last time I saw it for quite some time, because Faker showed them exactly why you're not meant to have it. Doinby, can't really compare the two, but it's the way he should play the laning phase, knowing he's got extra power just from having an extra summoner.
Keep talking about him. Swift always wanted to get aggressive, although V's been moved all the way out of the jungle by Zero there. Swift actually starting on the red side. Done the Krugs already, so V going to join up. I feel like they might have miscommunicated some of the lane swap, because V's going to be a little starved of experience. You can see 957 already sticking with Condi.
No, absolutely, they were unaware of the lane swap happening. They didn't get vision of the junglers from World Elite, or the duo, on the bottom side of the map. And so V assumed it was free for him to do the small blue buff minion by himself, get a bit of experience, go to lane. Zero, naturally, when they initiate the lane swap, checks the blue buff to see if they're there, finds him, and now V's going to be a little bit behind on experience.
Yep, coming over to check as well. 3v2 actually, if QG do walk into this section. Yep, the Wolves are started. I think they might have seen them, so they're probably not going to get caught out here. Swift is marked by Kindred as well, I believe, so he's going to have to be extra careful.
Got a bit of gold there, Swift. Prey Seeker found a small wolf.
Well, we can maybe get his blue buff taken here as well, which is a bad time here for QG. World Elite doing the right thing and pretty much playing to the strong side of the map. You can see Pekko all the way down there. We do have Braum coming up as well for more, but there's going to have to be a snipe or nothing, and it's just going to be nothing this time.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sold on the strategy here from Xiaogu. They're going to get to the tower and potentially deny the push, and it kind of slows the map down a little bit. They're still getting free farm onto Pico in the bottom lane, but it's such a big risk to actually send all of these members here, and now essentially leaving V alone while just sitting on the outskirts.
Oh, Doinby really close to 957. He's going to eat a Q, but trades plenty of damage back in there. Doinby says, get out of my lane. He's pushing Xie quite far forward towards this turret.
But Doinby, also very low in mana at the moment, is going to get poked out of lane 100% if he overcommits. Needs to only last hit minions and not use spells, and then his pressure is out the window.
Swift is so aggressive. Straight into the jungle, but Condi's right next to him, so Swift's not going to get that steal. He will be 3 buffs here, and that's a poor start for the Xiaogu jungler.
He's ready to gank in the middle lane. He's watched himself be 3 buffed, but the aggression that he's putting down is honestly just to get experience and vision.
Yeah, WE also know is on this side at least because of the Scuttlecrab vision, so this is not a surprise. I'll spot Zero here with the Tremor Sense. They're going to go in for it. Xie in trouble. They gets exhausted, tagged by Moore as well, and Zero's going to pill them away. No kill there. Xie gets away safely.
And we mentioned about a minute and a half ago, Doinby's mana pool was sparing, doesn't really have the capacity to use all of these spells without running out quickly, and they wanted to come in, push the wave, help Doinby get some CS, and then recall with the wave resetting under the turret. The teleport, though, from Xie is going to prevent that from happening. And in fact, he might find himself with a small CS lead.
Yeah, you can see the casual 1v2 there from the level 2 Trundle. Zero showcasing some of the power of the champion. Xie has returned to the mid lane, though. He's going to be just fine here as Doinby is forced back. He gets a Hex Core upgrade and a Negatron quick as V gets himself away. Tried to block the Q there with the pillar, I think. That was quite cute.
I do wonder how that interaction goes, because Nautilus's
Dredge
line actually counteracts a lot of things, like a Blitzcrank hook as an example. If you throw out the dredge line, it connects to the wall. Blitz will hook you, you'll just go back to your dredge line. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how that interaction works.
See how V can handle the Nautilus here. He's doing just fine in CS, actually. That's probably the other win for QG, despite maybe some early fumbles here by Swift. Is that 957 is zoned all the way off the wave, 2v1 in bottom side. Can't duel MF and Braum. Pretty difficult duo lane in general to play against, but 1v2 even harder there for Lissandra.
Yeah, and this is actually a major win for Xiaogu because V hasn't been doped. There's nothing that World Elite could actually do to dive him, solely because Swift was following Condi around. He sacrificed 3 buffs just to have vision of the jungler and let V know that he is safe under that turret. The way that the lane swaps have been going at the moment, everyone fast pushes down 2 turrets. But because of the way that Swift played the jungle, they weren't able to fast push down 1 turret, and now V is just monumentally ahead of a Lissandra.
Well, they're going to come back again here. 4 members top now. 957 doing a lot of roaming, given that he doesn't really want to be in that lane. But you can see Moore and Swift already heading towards the top side as well. V's going to back off the turret as also. Going to make sure he's not in range, and they might be able to defend here. 3v4 with a turret in play as Dornby roams up as well. World Elite have to give this up. That turret takes barely any damage.
And meanwhile, in the bottom lane, of course, Pico is just going to be casually sitting here. He's going to be farming his heart out, trying to get all of his items before he goes back, and well and truly on the way to a big spike is this Misfortune already being level 6, and no one from World Elite is here to catch these waves. Time and again, 957 doesn't have his teleport, and he has 3 CS.
And it's funny how in so many games, it's always Peko that seems to be the big benefactor here. You talk about the top half of the map for QG being very aggressive in setting up a lot of plays, but Peko is a super reliable mid to late game AD carry player, and he's getting a lot of help early on here. 61 to 56 CS in the AD carry war, but it's still 957 that's completely, very, very starving.
7 minutes in the game, and he finally goes to the bottom lane to take some farm and gets above 4 CS. It's a miracle.
It's almost actually like down in 3 levels as well. V's pretty close to his ultimate, so
yeah.
957 struggling, but he's going to get a couple waves now.
And the craziest part is Swift, without getting a single big buff, is keeping up with levels because you get so much experience now from big jungle monsters regardless. You've got the new items that give bonus experience with each large monster as well.
And the nice thing was, didn't have to share much of that with V.
Nope.
It looked like a mistake early on for QG, and it was, but the way they've played it to protect this top lane tower, they've effectively reset all their lanes back to almost standard ones, and now 5-7 still struggling in the bottom lane.
And as he should be, only having a Doran's Ring is not in a position to fight against the BF Sword Misfortune. The thing here, though, is because there's such a big advantage for V, he's itemized towards magic resistance, and he's actually almost ready for a dragon or objective-based fight. He could almost group up now, utilize that teleport that's there, because 957 could do nothing about it.
Nope, not right now. No TP level 4 for the poor Lissandra, as Peko does return to the bottom side with that BF sword. Swift now level 6 as well. Going to start stalking around looking for wards. Could be a dive in this bottom side here. Might just want to secure this outer turret. It's going down by the looks of things.
It certainly should be going down. The numbers advantage is there, and Condi is in base, so he's going to have to basically cut his losses, go towards some more jungle camps, and continue to farm. It's pretty sad to consider that the farm is the exact same as Swift's, though.
Yeah, after that 3 buff.
Seriously, he got a 3 buff start. He's had the jungle advantage, and Swift spent about 1.5 minutes watching him jungle and just sitting in middle lane as well. So, good job from Swift.
Yeah, well played early game certainly here for Xiaogu. You can see some early itemization starting as well. We've got Swiftness Boots, Tracker's Knife. That's the current jungle meta special by the looks of things. Spectre's Cal up for V already, like you highlighted. And Dornby's got the Mark 2 hex score, I believe, as they also take the dragon after that bottom tower.
Yeah.
About 1,000 gold up now for Xiaogu, just based on very good macro play.
Exactly right, and this is an interesting change. I have not seen a team play the early game like this until right now. Because at the moment, the meta, basically in every single region, is the 2 turrets, and then they play an ARAM in the middle lane until someone concedes.
Just hope the wave clear somehow gives away in mid.
They just poke until one of the wave clear sources isn't there anymore, and then they're the ones who snowball. So it's nice to see a refreshing change, and a very unique strategy, I would have to say, from Xiaogu.
Well, I have to agree, but good news here in the top side for World Elite. 957 is going to start collecting much-needed creeps and experience. He's still 25 CS down. And Swift actually looks to dive in here. Really smart rotation here from Condi.
He knows Condi's there, though.
Could spot him out with the Tremor Sense.
He also knows he hasn't moved.
Yep. And now going in. No, actually moves out for 957. Swift looks for the dive. Dredgeline does land in. The knockup's there as well. Ulti going to follow there from Nautilus. Damage is down and Condi is dead. First blood to Swift.
4 members from QG are here at the exact same time, so they can continue to push the top lane turret. And World Elite, they just feel outclassed on a macro level at the moment. Every single time Condi's somewhere, he's not going to get anything from it. In fact, he's just there as a helping hand to try and get someone out.
And look at this, a TP down for V to secure this tower. Very inventive lane swap from QG Reapers. And Mystic can just sit here and farm, but V has no issues at all against a low early game Kalista with a Glacial Shroud.
And that's because V had recalled to get the Glacial Shroud that you just mentioned. Mid-game items completed for this Nautilus, and he is in a fantastic position moving forward, because if a tank is ever ahead, they generally stay ahead. Now Xiaogu are able to get this second turret after denying as many minions as possible from 957, potentially make it bounce back a little bit. They're diving?
Trouble, yeah, they are diving. 957's here as well. V's still not going down. The Ren stacks are in there. Mystic is going to get the execute, but he might die to the tower hit. Made it close, but he does secure the kill.
He flashes out from that last tower shot. 4 members from World Elite. Finally a proactive play out of this team. They do get the bottom turret and a single kill for their troubles. And now the gold leader started to claw back a little bit more.
Yeah, equalized somewhat here. Only about 2k up for QG. So they were playing relatively patiently.
He's not going to spot the ward because it's on the backside of the red
He's
pit.
going to see it.
Oh, he's done it.
Nice pathing there from Swift. Checks all checked all the nooks and crannies. Did find it, had to use the lens just to clear it out, but make sure he gets that vision out of his jungle.
But I'm going to be honest, he didn't need to sweep that. He did not need to sweep that at all. That vision that you get from that ward being there is only relevant when the red buff is spawned. It is going to be out relatively soon, but I don't think it was necessary for him to use that when it could be better suited to a jungle entrance instead.
Perhaps a message being sent there by Swift as he does zoom out back in towards the mid lane.
Now. Oh no, he's got a pink. No, you know what? You do use Swift.
Needs to set up for some vision here. Going to take the Scuttle Crab as well. So lots of vision being set up on this right-hand side. Doinby going to chase Zero out of his lane. He's come visiting in mid for the second time here. And Doinby is continuing to do what Victor loves to do. Constantly pressure up and wave clear. Blue buff up for him as well. Chie is CSing nicely, but going to be relatively farm heavy here in the mid for now. Although we are looking at some sort of gank.
So World Elite looking to gank Doinby. They even had a Lissandra rotating, but not to any avail. This is crazy. 12 minutes in the game, you're usually looking at basically the recipe for the Rod of Ages to be completed. They get it around 12 to 14 minutes, depending on how laning phase went. He has a blasting one.
Yep.
That's 12 minutes.
957's not having a good time in this early game. We are even getting tier 2 pressure. Dive actually from Swift. Is Zero the one locked up? He's only level 4. Tagged in there by the Bromq. Swift going to move in. Stun needs to proc. One more auto is enough. Peko flashes in and he will secure it.
Very well played. One more time from Xiaogu. Swift does not care about a Trundle support trying to solo defend a turret. You have no reason to be in that position, and it's unfortunate for World Elite, but very proactive play once again from Xiaogu, playing with such confidence, they get themselves a second turret in that bottom lane.
Yep, they take the turret and go up to now 3k ahead in this particular game. We can see why they prioritize the Rek'Sai. Swift just knows exactly what he wants to be doing with it. Top tower is going to fall though. Mystic able to take that one out, so he'll equalize the gold a little bit more. Only about 2k up now for Xiaogu. And a minute 30 onto that next dragon as Doinby has been very slowed.
Okay, so everyone, I mean, yeah, look, Xiaogu, they just look like they're in such a dominating position at the moment. Very dangerous stuff here as V's going to take away the big one.
Yep, going to clear things away. All good stuff there. And everything's just going to reset a bit here. We can see Essence Reaver done there for Peko. So he does have his first major item. We do have the Blade done for Mystic as well, so AD carries not too far away from each other as far as early itemization goes. And Frost Queen's claim done for Xie with a Catalyst there as well. So are going to see delayed Rod of Ages, so both the mid and the top laners of World Elite, but they are getting those item builds going. It's just again 957, still down a very healthy amount of CS, 40 down still.
Look, it hit the point where he was going to go for Rod of Ages, and instead he's gone for Boots of Lucidity, not a Catalyst. And I guess my assumption behind this is he's not going to go for Rod of Ages. He has to forego that item and get maybe an Abyssal Scepter, survive laning phase, and then work towards, I mean, honestly, potentially a Sheen item of some kind, because he needs the mana pool.
Or a Phoenix. We could find out. Doinby looking for the steal, doesn't get it. Condi able to smite that away. Get a recall in from B as well, who's doing some shopping relatively soon. Got Swiftness Boots. I'm going to build in towards a few more components. Got Crystalline Bracer there now. QG though, just trying the ARAM strat, wanting to get this tower down and really open up this map. And like you've mentioned, Rusty, all the wave clear mid laners make this pretty tricky.
Exactly right. Not only wave clear mid laners, the top laners in this particular game have just the same amount of wave clear. So we'll find these teams butting heads a lot, but not a whole lot coming from it until they make a pick. The best way to make those picks is with poke, and that's what Victor is doing at the moment instead of using it for wave clear.
Oh, V going straight in, but doesn't quite use the ult. He just hooks onto a minion. Dragon is up as well. Swift's currently soloing it, so QG going to secure themselves even more objectives here. Should be pretty easy to take it away. World Elite not wanting to leave that mid lane turret in case of the pressure, and Moore's going to come in for a little bit of help. Smite away, and that's going to be Dragon. No, never mind. Dragon number 2 for QG. No smite needed.
Yeah, honestly, just easy done. It's so simple for Xiaogu to rotate at the moment. No vision control around the Dragon area for World Elite. They're basically consolidating every single loss, making their best attempts towards farming and just trying to catch up. Keep the Kalista as close as possible to even, because that's their saving grace at the moment, World Elite. They've got the Lulu, and they've got Lissandra, who's always going to be able to engage and stay alive for at least quite some time with that ultimate. They're just relying on Mystic to be huge.
Yep, well, it's getting pretty strong here as Blue Buff does go over to Doinby. Mystic actually doing a bit of jungling for himself, going to take that Scuttle Crab away. Potentially give them a view to the Rift Tower if they want to take it, but right now it just seems like a siege is being set up by World Elite in the mid lane. Plenty of poke here and good wave clear. Doinby really the only one that can clear this out, but he's pretty strong right now on Victor. So not a problem at all there for the mid laner.
He has had blue buff for a very extended period of time. I've very rarely seen him without it this game. So Doinby putting in overtime with that wave clear duty. And this is the ARAM we were talking about earlier. It's the way that the meta is going at the moment. Clear top turret, rotate to the bottom turret, or vice versa, depending on where you start. And then you work mid. Whoever breaks mid first generally opens up the map and starts to find more opportunities to snowball. But actually breaking mid is so difficult.
Yep, because again, all the wave clear mid laners. We do have maybe an opportunity in the bottom lane because they did take out the tier 2 to Chagu away from World Elite. So a little bit more space there. Huge wave actually for Peko. Going to push this all the way back. Although World Elite now going to start pulling the trigger and moving into mid lane. TP is up for V, but he's going to have to get here pretty quickly.
This is the rinse and repeat nature once again. It's going to be so hard to kill Doinby because he's got a Braum to defend him. Nautilus has the teleport. And this is why people are actually picking hyper tanks in the current meta, is because the wave clear is there. They need to either siege or dive. And it is so hard to siege when they have wave clear. Your only resort is to actually dive. So picking champions like the Nautilus, who can just press the big go button or be a super tank to either dive or prevent dive, is doing work.
Well, you can see Peko's finished pushing out that wave. V, I don't think got a push started in the top lane, but he did push it fairly far back. It is going to force 957 as a response. So once again, we see this push and pull. Xiaogu now going to be the ones grouping in towards mid. And with Baron not being an objective they can take right now, they're going to keep pressuring. And these turret pokes, they do add up. In fact, they might even go for the break here.
This looks to be the first breaking point of the game. Of course, the gold lead was already established for Xiaogu. It's now going to accelerate.
Doinby going straight in, going to force a flash out of Mystic. Barely survives that one.
That was aggressive work from Doinby, and it looks like this team don't want to slow down anytime soon. Forcing Mystic to go back to base. He had to walk the whole way. They can put some more damage and might even get the second turret.
Smart play here from Xiaogu. Teleport is going to be there. Can they cancel it? Looks like the channel is going to finish. Don't have enough damage. Lissandra going to charge in. Flash in, but a beautiful knock up there from Swift. Self-ulti there for 957 is going to keep him alive, but for not too much longer as Peko does take him out. Zero tag by Braum. Almost eats another Q. And Xiaogu get another pick and keep pushing now.
More is so good on Braum. The amount of times you see this guy have a dance more. He even blocks it with the shit. He keeps dancing. That's really cool. He stops the Lissandra from engaging and having to ult herself, but with a delay because he knocked up with the ultimate. The timing was impeccable and more really helping Xiaogu to cement that advantage they just secured.
Blue buff steal here as well, and a big wave also prepped on that bottom side. Xiaogu do have to go back and spend their money, so can't probably go for more aggressive plays at this point, but they'll collect their buffs, they'll consolidate, go spend some of that money they've built up here. And that big bank now, about 6k up for QG, 5 towers to 2, and of course those 2 dragons just in case. Swift, I think, tried to take that away, but Peko secures.
He genuinely wanted to take the small one. He said he needed the 20 gold. I'm guessing for a pink ward, if I had to make an assessment. It was just quite amusing because he had to actually walk up to it next to it and kill it with the Cinder because you can't kill red buff with it.
Yeah.
Safe to take it for Pico, and he gets a bit of extra money.
Well, Dead Man's Plate now completed, so 20G helping out there for Swift. We do see Rapid Fire Cannon also completed for Peko, so 2 items done for MF. Banshee's done now as well for V. And of course 2 items done, Perfect Hex Score plus the Abyssal and Cooldown Boots, all completed for Doinby. So big strength now for Xiaogu. As that Ren does miss for Mystic.
You win this round, Grom. I'll be back.
Well, more steals as well as Lokondi has to defend that buff for himself. We'll take it. They can't go over to the AD carry now for a few minutes, and Xiaogu is continuing to put pressure on all 3 lanes at this point.
Yeah, and of course, as we mentioned, the middle lane has been broken open, so it gives more pressure on the face of World Elite. They need to sit there and defend in a much deeper and more dangerous position. Gives more time for Xiaogu to rotate around the map. Their next objective is very evidently a 4-1 split, focusing on the top side of the map so that there's no Baron pressure whatsoever, and that V can pressure the bottom side of the map, which is completely open.
Yep, CQG going to push him for this top tier 2 now. That's the only tier 2 left actually for World Elite, so it'll be another big point to attack here.
Yeah.
V does have that summoner, of course. Teleport ready to go. Dragon up in 40 seconds, so Xiaogu, plenty to play around here. And this vision's just stretched all the way into World Elite's jungle. At this point, World Elite feel pretty much confined to their base area.
Absolutely do, and of course V right now is honestly doing the work of two laners. They're keeping Doinb in the top lane because he's not the only one with wave clear, but he's the only one that can poke and pressure down carries from World Elite. This World Elite side are not very good at clearing waves unless they are in control of the map, and Victor can very easily be in range for a laser with their short range abilities.
And I feel like QG are playing very well around World Elite's teleports here. They do have two of them, but they're constantly keeping track of the timer. Xie now has to go around and check things out because his TP up and 957's isn't. And like you mentioned, V's doing the work of two different laners, but he only has one teleport.
Exactly right. He's walking between the lanes, not even using that teleport, clearing mid lane, and then going back to the bottom lane, clearing that one also. World Elite need to address this issue in the top lane that was 4 people pressuring, and immediately Xiaogu, with about 10 seconds till the dragon spawns, work their way towards it, and that is the third one for them. Completely uncontested again.
Yep. They'll collect it here and start applying pressure. This is the thing about Dragon. Everyone says 5 dragons is kind of unrealistic to get to. We've seen a couple games this week in different leagues around the world go there, but it's been fairly rare. And I think in general, the nice thing about Dragon is, okay, it's not that great. The first one's pretty good, but if you keep taking them, that's pressure you put on your opponent, as we do have Condi steal away that blue buff.
I will say it's very rare that teams have to resort to the 5th dragon because gold is so accelerated and items are so accelerated. 957, you are so far out.
No flash here as well. Swift going to follow in. Flash on Burrow there for the knock-up, and Doinb just going to take him out. Swift gets the last hit there. And now Condi's getting chased on. Huge dredge line there for V as the Lamb's Respite popped as well, but he's not going to live for too much longer. Condi does flash and dash out of the way. He might just survive here, but another dredge line coming out. The Pro Seeker lands. The ulti's good, and Condi gets dunked.
The first time that V uses that ultimate, Lissandra actually cancelled it. I think it was a vision issue that stopped it from going out. So saves the ultimate this time for Condi, ensures that he gets the last hit with it as the Lamb's Respite went down. And they're on Baron.
Yeah, QG say, you know what, Mystic, you take the mid outer. It's all yours. We're just going to take Baron here. Zero in the area, trying to poke people off it, but it's going to be really difficult to try and take this. 3v5 right now. Doinb actually in trouble. Mystic doing good damage there. Great knock up there from the Fates call. And QG just committing to Baron. Lissandra is coming in. Swift does secure it, but Pekko's going to take a lot of damage here as 957 ults himself. Damage is good. Swift is done. And QG somehow have everyone else live. Mystic couldn't finish the job. And now going in. Great knock up there. Swift with the double. Going to chase Zero in as well. Looking for the third. Pekko now going to run down there. Damage is good for the MF. Knock-up's almost there. Zero has to be careful. He does get knocked up. Pekko takes him out. And Xiaogu, 3 kills and a Baron.
And this game just became a massacre right now for World Elite. There is nothing they can do. Being run around the map, left, right, and center. Try as they might to even kill Doinb. They can't do it. The only death was a dive at around 6 minutes into this game onto V. This is an impeccable Xiaogu that we're looking at right now, and this game is getting very out of hand.
Yep, they're 8k down now, our World Elite. And Xiaogu just continuing to apply pressure after pressure. Blue buff does not belong to you, although it does get it. Have forced a flash though, that's a pretty hefty cost for that particular buff.
I mean, Doinb, he's still going to have wave clear. They don't need the blue buff desperately.
Oh, Condi caught out again. Lamb's Respite pop. Braum going to CC him up. Pekko going to take it. Now going to chase in onto Xie. Nautilus ult pop. Braum passive there. Swift gets another kill now. And Doinb just flashes in for Mystic. Zones him out with the Chaos Storm. They're going to keep going. He'll tick down and get killed. Zero could be the next target, but Xiaogu have just busted the base open here.
They don't have any reservations right now. There's nothing to be afraid of for this Xiaogu roster. 11-1 in kills at 24 minutes into this game. They can break open the middle lane, and it doesn't look like they want to stop there because they are so far ahead.
Yeah, they might even try and finish things off here, but this game is looking grim for World Elite in this particular one. This Nexus turret, not long for this world, will go down. Do they have enough tanks to finish them off? I think they do. Pekko is going to clean things up here, and Xiaogu are going to run over WE. 1 death in the column. Swift's KDA going absolutely ballistic, and that's it. 25 minutes. We are done with game number 1.
Xiaogu, that is a stellar performance across the board here from this rookie team. No longer rookies, to say the least.
Not
in
at
their
all.
Second split of the LPL. The first 3 games that we've seen them play, and they die 5 times total so far.
Ruthless and efficient. That's how I'm going to describe this Xiaogu lineup. We saw them play with the exact same 5 last year. They were looking pretty good, but the offseason's been very kind to this team. Good pickups on the bench. Clearly refined their play since finishing second there, IM Cologne, and they are off to the best possible start almost for the LPL 2016 spring season.
It's just unbelievably efficient from this Xiaogu side. Haven't actually seen any innovation like that to the lane swaps just yet.
Yeah, that was really clever.
Season. The way that they worked around it actually got the Nautilus into a position where he's not going to die because he's a naturally tanky champion. Lissandra, 957, seriously just stuck double jungling. Look, it was a foresight on their part. They needed him in the side lane. But all in all, this Xiaogu side, once again, they showed they mean business, and it wasn't just a fluke in their first 2-0.
No, certainly not. I mean, 2-0 LGD, even though there are clearly some changes and adjustments to be made for that team, no mean feat. World Elite probably come in being, I would say, less favored than LGD might have been in that match. But that first game was just, once again, very clinical. Feels like Xiaogu are yet to show signs of weakness.
And World Elite, they also beat EPA 2-1 in rather convincing fashion in the second and third games. There was a team that was now 1-0 against Xiaogu, the other 1-0 side. And that quickly looked like a drastic difference between both of these teams. LGD, after going down to Xiaogu and seeing how they've performed so far against World Elite, I actually don't know if LGD are even bad or if Xiaogu are literally just that good.
Well, we expected EDG, Xiaogu, and LGD to be our top 3 teams starting the season. EDG are having troubles. LGD are having troubles. Xiaogu having absolutely no problem.
Yeah. And that's
Zero.
Honestly the biggest difference right now. Speaking of Zero, they didn't have any trouble with him.
No.
The way they executed the lane swaps from Xiaogu, again, very creative. It's new and it's very unique to them at the moment. I really liked it. It completely counteracted any strategy that World Elite had in place.
Again, for me, I think Swift just plays such a big part in this team. I don't know how much he's able to communicate with some of the mixed language members of his team, but Rek'Sai is such a good champion for him because it promotes so much control and so much flexibility from that role that Swift gets to do whatever he wants. And when that man is in control of the tempo of a game, he controls it from minute 1 to minute 25 when the game ends.
Well, absolutely. That's on the assumption it ends at 25 minutes. And, I mean, that was a quick game, to say the least. They were 11k ahead by the time they got to 25 minutes in this game. And they were 1,000 gold ahead from the lane swap that they put in effect. And it was just so... It was almost surreal to watch happen because Swift didn't do anything. He just watched Condi jungle. He seriously stalked his prey and then said, all right, well, V, you can lane top right now because we know where he is. And it was all good.
I just remember that draft from World Elite. I actually looked through some highlights as well. Some of these players were just disgusting. And Doinby especially, as always on Victor, was just outputting monstrous amounts of damage.
Yeah, banning the LeBlanc away from Doinby doesn't actually limit his champion pool at all. He's honestly, you should be banning the Victor above the LeBlanc because the wave clear and the utility that Victor provides and how aggressive Doinby actually plays that. I mean, there's no answer from World Elite. They should be banning the Victor, not the LeBlanc.
I think that last play there, just a big deep dive. We had the lane pushing up in the middle as well. Then the game ends. That's it. People get dived. Nexus turrets fall. QG just way too far ahead. And like we mentioned, World Elite's draft was good. It just never had a chance to come online.
And that's the biggest problem right now is they're doing lane swaps, trying to put lane swaps into effect, World Elite, to let Lissandra get a freeze, stack up some money, get some gold, and they were just completely outplayed. It was clean cut and it was ruthless from Xiaogu.
And Top Nautilus finally wins the game there in the LPL.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much we can say about V's Top Nautilus. He's clearly a good, flexible player. It's funny because for the longest time, I feel like people are like, V can only play tanks. And he played Ryze and destroyed everyone. So,
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Back on the tanks at least for now, but we're going to throw to a quick break. Can Xiaogu continue their undefeated streak and take the second game, or are World Elite going to bounce back for game number 3? Don't go too far away. We'll be right back with more LPL action.